Welcome on into OneSoccer today, everybody. Yes, it's a special edition of the show. We are inside Commonwealth Stadium. We are still in the City of Champions in Edmonton, Alberta. Annie Petrillo, we've got Gareth Wheeler, Oliver Platt, Christian Jack joining the show here today. And speaking of the City of Champions, obviously the Canadians feeling pretty good about themselves coming off the 1-0 victory over Costa Rica on Friday. They remain the only team in this final round to still be undefeated. That's right. The Mexicans, their next opponent on Tuesday, they're coming off a 2-0 loss to the United States. The Canadians want to keep the good times rolling. But before we look ahead, let's go back to that game against Costa Rica, 1-0 victory. Jonathan Davies scoring the goal in the 57th minute. A little game of overreaction, appropriate reaction. And KJ, with you joining the show, you get the honors of going first.
Whoa, okay.
Okay.
Listen, you would think it's like already minus 20 with what Gareth is wearing over here, this insulated shirt.
No gloves.
He's ready to go for a run. All right, overreaction or appropriate reaction that Canada could have easily beat Costa Rica by 3 or more goals.
3 or more goals, that's an overreaction. The only 3 I care about is the 3 points, okay? Not 3 goals. No, they didn't have that many chances. At the end of the day, look, Costa Rica would have remained on nil. I think if they still played out there right now, they still wouldn't have scored, to be honest, the way they played that game. And that's no disrespect to them. They just weren't interested in trying to create any attacking chances. It was a funny game, wasn't it? There wasn't that many golden scoring opportunities. I think the expected goals are certainly low. We're going to see the Tajon Buchanan glory chance here. That's not necessarily a golden scoring chance. That's just a moment of individual brilliance. So the kind of game that always felt like 1-0, Ollie.
Yeah, and that's fine, right? Like, Costa Rica weren't very good. They came here to try and get a point and weren't really interested in anything more than that. Sometimes you're going to break those games open like we saw against El Salvador and Panama and score a few goals. Sometimes you don't, and you just have to grind it out, take what's there. They got the 3 points. That's the most important thing. I really couldn't care less about how many goals they scored.
I'd like to point out that he never said overreaction.
No, he didn't. I was thinking that.
Overreaction, sorry.
Already.
Okay.
It's an appropriate reaction, guys. Read the question. Could have won by 3 goals, and Canada were at least 3 goals better than Costa Rica on the day. Own goal potential with the ball going off the crossbar in the first half, the goal that was scored, and then obviously Buchanan going off the bar. That's like we're just scratching the surface here for those. Canada were that much better on the night, and that's the essence of the question. Because Canada were that much better than Costa Rica. You're right, KJ, they were exceptionally poor. Perhaps they should have tested Moreira a little bit, just 2 shots on target, but Canada didn't have to go into second or third gear, I felt like whatever they did was enough, but they could have won by 3 or more goals.
And leading into my next question, some people could agree with you because maybe they don't think their best player was at his best. So let me ask you this, Ollie. Overreaction or appropriate reaction to say that Alphonso Davies struggled in this game?
Give an answer this time.
It's an appropriate reaction, I think. But look, it's not the end of the world, right? Alphonso Davies is going to have days where he's dynamic, where he's the best player on the pitch, where he dominates the game as he did against Panama. And then there's going to be days where, when he takes up that central role in this Canadian team, he takes an awful lot of attention. He's playing in some tighter spaces than he's probably used to with Bayern Munich, and not everything necessarily comes off him. What's important on those days is that other players step up, and Jonathan David did. So, look, could Alphonso Davies maybe simplify a bit in certain moments, release the ball a bit quicker? Maybe. But I also don't want to discourage this player from trying things and from being himself and showing his personality on the field. Sometimes that leads to incredible moments like we saw against Panama, and sometimes it gives you a bit of frustration.
That's why it's an overreaction for me. It wasn't his best game, but that is his game.
Yeah.
The willingness to be on the ball, try to take on players. At times, he was one of the few players on the field that was maybe trying to do a little bit too much. But that's what you want from your best player. So I'm totally with you on that. So, no, I don't think he struggled to find his game. It just wasn't his best performance.
Yeah, I'm going to go overreaction as well. It's a maverick, right? You've got to let him go out there and do that. And sometimes you're going to have players where you have 2 or 3 defenders on him. Sam Adekubi was named man of the match. Why? Because he's playing on the same side as Alphonso Davies, who took up a lot of space and obviously allowed Adekubi to join in. It's been a World Cup qualifying process of moments for Davies right now. And I think the next plan, and I think John Herdman would admit this, for this team to go forward is to start having more ball and getting him involved a little bit more rather than just individual moments. But that will come.
Overreaction or appropriate reaction with that 1-0 narrow win, Gareth, it proves that Jonathan Osorio should be in the starting 11.
That's an overreaction. They won the game. Like that's what it comes down to. I don't think that Herdman will be that bothered about the overall performance of this team. It was the 3 points, KJ. You kind of alluded to it. That's what's the most important thing here. They were fine. He found a way to play Canada's best players, minus Kyle Aaron, who for obvious reasons. Dealing with the stomach illness didn't start that game, but I think that bodes well for this team that they can play in different ways. That may or may not include Jonathan Osorio. So no, they don't need him in the team. Would he be more helpful for certain games? Maybe. We'll probably get that into that a little bit later in the program, but no, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I'm going to go with overreaction as well. Every individual team you play is different, so you've got to go with a different plan and platform for that. And we'll get into this, but this is no surprise to me. He should be playing against Mexico, but not necessarily based on the way Canada played against Costa Rica. It's a completely different profile of a game, completely different match. Osorio was magnificent against Mexico in the last game as we saw the goal there. He should be playing in that game, but I don't think he'll get in that game because other people didn't play well against Costa Rica.
Yeah, I think you have to say overreaction when you look at the amount of attacking talent that's in this team. To say he must be in the starting lineup is an overreaction, but I do think he helps in a lot of different ways and in a lot of different scenarios as well. You know, you have a lot of players who are very direct, very dynamic, like to go at defenders. Osorio is just that guy who can just play the extra pass, you know, draw a bit of pressure in and create space for other players, then release the ball. He makes a lot of good decisions in the final third that make other players better for me.
He does love scoring against Mexico, in particular in Mexico. So does Tajon Buchanan. So here's the thing. I feel like we go down the list again with the offensive power that Canada now has. So let me ask you this, KJ, overreaction or appropriate reaction that Lucas Cavallini is actually the odd striker out now with the addition of Ike Igbo?
Yeah, I think it's an appropriate reaction. I think Lucas Cavallini, you know, is no surprise. He's had a very difficult season. You know, it's a difficult time at the Whitecaps. I think, 9 goals in 39 games, averages a goal every 300 minutes. It's not great, guys, you know. But at the same time, does he have a role in this team? Absolutely. There's really nobody else in this squad who can do what he can do. Bring that physicality, hold the ball up, play 10 or 15 minutes. And by the way, modern day leaders of sport will tell you they don't look at players anymore as starters and subs. They look at players as roles and responsibilities. He clearly has a role here, but as you mentioned, and I think it is an appropriate reaction with Ubo coming in, he is coming further down to use that North American, that depth chart. He's getting lower and lower, much like a few MLS players are. Samuel Piet's the same. You look across CONCACAF, players based in Europe and playing elsewhere are going to another level, and some of the MLS players are getting left behind.
Yeah, appropriate reaction for now, but I agree with KJ that in the long run, I think there's still a role, there's still a future for Lucas Cavallini with this team. There's no one in that profile of being the target man, playing with your back to goal, you know, occupying central defenders and bringing, you know, the quicker attacking players into play. We saw that a couple of Gold Cups ago, and it worked very, very well. It was a good combination with him and Alphonso Davies. So there's still something there with Lucas Cavallini. I like him as a player, but I think he needs a move. I don't see it for him in Vancouver. I think maybe going abroad would help him, and he needs to get going with his club career before he can really expect to play for Canada.
He had 16 Canada goals in a relatively short period of time, and Canada has no player that of the build or of in the mold of Lucas Cavallini. That's why I think it's an overreaction. Remember last window, guys, Charles Andreas Brim, Jacob Schaffelberg, Liam Fraser. These are players that aren't even with the team right now. So I don't think that his role is being taken over. I think there's a role for a lot of these players, especially with another 3-match window coming up. Like the 2-game windows are a little bit different here. It's more traditional, but in those 3-match windows, you need to dig deep. You need players readily available. Next window, Andy, Honduras back in Canada, El Salvador. You can look at maybe 2 potentially different teams playing from the first game to the second game based on the travel alone and the time. So no, I don't think his position's being overtaken.
A player like him, I always call him the smash and grab type of player because he just goes out there and he is very physical. And a lot of times he can create that space for himself and just get the job done. On the women's side, I always attribute that to Adriana Leon. I love it. The smash and grab player. Just go in there, elbow everybody out of the way and get the goal. Overreaction or appropriate reaction that Milan Borjan is the fashionista on this team. I'm kidding. That is not actually the question.
Appropriate.
Yeah, let me ask you.
Sweatpants.
I love the sweatpants.
I love sweatpants.
Bro, sweatpants.
The sweatpants, and you know we're going to see that for sure in this little highlight pack. But overreaction, appropriate reaction, Ollie, that Milan Borjan proved he's the undisputed number 1.
Yeah, appropriate reaction. Look, I've said my piece on Max Crepeau. I think he's the future number 1 for this team and will be for a long time. And I really like some of the qualities he has as a goalkeeper. But Milan Borjan, we know the role he's playing in this team right now. You know, he's a leader. He's one of the most experienced players. He's obviously an excellent goalkeeper in his own right. Would never say otherwise. And it's going to be his job unless he does something to lose it. And right now, he does not look like he's going to do something to lose it because he's been excellent through the 4 games, I believe it is, that he's played now during this qualification process or the final round of these qualifiers. So look, he's a key part of this team and he will continue to be so as long as he's performing at the same level.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. But, I think it's an overreaction. I think they've got 2 number ones, and I think Crepeau is really there, right now. And by the way, Bojan has got better because of Crepeau. They are significantly testing each other. Crepeau was marvelous in the last World Cup window, and that's what you need, as Gareth alluded to in the last question. When you get somebody to come in and replace them, they must reach that level. That's when you know you're onto something in team sports, that when the next player comes in, they reach that level, and they don't want to lose that starting spot. And that's where Max Crepeau is now. Max Crepeau is one of the best 3 goalkeepers in Major League Soccer. He's looking at a European move for me. He's been that good. He's mentally got everything you need to be an elite sport athlete. And I think right now he's pushing Bojan. Look, it's going to take an error or injury or something else. But if Crepeau gets in that net again, it might be very difficult to take him out, Gareth.
I'm going to say overreaction for a different reason, because I always thought he was the number 1. And that's no disrespect to Max, because I agree with everything that you said. But Bojan over the years has developed as a leader in this team. And after the 2019 Gold Cup, the disappointment of losing to Haiti, on the way to the airport, he reached out to every member of the team and took accountability. And that's something that I think players today don't do enough of, actually taking accountability of their own actions. He did that. That save against Honduras, it could be transformational for this World Cup campaign. You see him right in the middle of huddles. When players like Vitoria, like real leaders in this team, who's wearing the captain's armband last Friday night? It's Milan Borjan, and he's doing it for a reason, Andy. I just think that, with all due respect to Max, Borjan's the undisputed number 1. He has been, and that's not going to change over the course of this World Cup campaign.
And it is true, though, it's great to see the 2 push each other. And to your point, Max Crepeau, the last 2 games against Mexico, he's been in net. But Borjan, seeing that, knowing that the Mexicans needed a 99th minute goal to win at the Gold Cup, knowing that they got the draw in Mexico, that pushes him now to step on in and be better. Let's get to some tackles here. We don't see a lot of these types of tackles in the world of soccer, but overreaction or appropriate reaction. This was the best tackle of the night. Oh, my goodness. Has anyone checked on the half streaker? It's not a full streaker.
No.
It's the half streaker. Is he okay?
I would imagine he's not okay. No. I mean, look at that.
That screams internal bleeding right here.
Oh,
This is the most famous tackle coming out of the night. Maybe the most famous moment coming out of the night is right there.
Appropriate
We tested
reaction.
the boards yesterday.
They
They're
hurt.
hard.
Yeah. Welcome back into OneSoccer today. Yes, we are inside Commonwealth Stadium. Andy, Gareth, Ollie, KJ getting set for Canada to take on Mexico Tuesday night, coming off that 1-0 victory over Costa Rica. So we're going to have a little fun with some over-under here, gentlemen. Gareth, I'm going to begin with you. Canada's odds for qualifying for Qatar, over-under 88.12%.
Over. Without a doubt, we are in the city of champions. Not only the home of Connor McDavid, but in my day, it was number 99, Wayne Gretzky. And I'm going to give Canada a 99% chance of going on to qualify for Qatar. And it's with good reason. Canada play the 2 teams atop the table in the United States and Mexico at home over the course of the back half of this qualifying campaign. They're on great form. There's no one with a better, front 4 in this region. And I don't rate Panama. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I think it's smoke and mirrors. There's only one team that can go on and catch the front 3, and that's Jamaica. And I'm not quite sure that a 7-point gap right now is attainable to leapfrog over.
This 99%, by the way. You could have gone McDavid 97, Draisaitl 93, but 99.
Gretzky guy, KJ.
Straight to 99. Wow. I'm going to go under just a little bit. It seems a little bit high. I know why the algorithms put them there, because they've already been to Mexico and they've already been to the United States, and Panama haven't. But Panama have got El Salvador and Honduras at home still, and Canada doesn't. So that's a chance for them to get significant points. We're going to get to that later, but the El Salvador game for Panama is a must-win. So if they win that game, and they could be higher than Canada as of that night. I still think Canada have got a far greater chance than Panama to qualify. 88% seems a bit high right now.
It's got to be under. Like, I'm confident that they're in a really good position to qualify, but when you've got 4 teams very close together competing for 3 spots, they can't go to 88% yet. Even if it's Panama, you've got to take them seriously at this point.
Let's find out where the Intercontinental Playoff draw will happen too, because depending on who they play there, that might increase them as well.
Listen, Panama made things squeaky on Friday night. You know what I mean? Coming back with those 3 goals in the final 13 minutes.
About 4-1 at BMO Field and the thrashing,
Doesn't matter, though.
demolition
Haven't
job.
forgotten about it.
Inferior side.
KJ, I'm coming to you. Over under 1.5 loss for Canada in World Cup qualifying. Of course, so far undefeated.
I think they'll be over that. Look, asking a team to go through 14 World Cup qualifiers at this stage and lose only one game is truly remarkable. I mean, it's only ever happened once in the last 4 World Cup qualifying stages, and that was Mexico, of all teams, last time. And they were only playing 10 games. Teams lose away from home in Concacaf World Cup qualifying a lot, and Canada have got some really difficult places to go. Now, they may well go out there and win one of those games. They're going to have to, but you can still lose and have bad days and get to a World Cup consistently in this system. So, no, I think it's going to be over. But, for me, I think Wales is already smiling and he's going to disagree. So.
All right, Wales,
It's going to be under. They've gone to their 2 most difficult places. They played their most difficult opponents away from home already in the United States and Mexico. This Canada team is difficult to beat. They go into the Azteca, you can make the argument that they could have come away with the full 3 points in that game. I just don't know where they're going to trip up. Maybe this is just me completely underrating their opponents. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by El Salvador, Honduras, that Costa Rica team. For a country that's been to the last 2 World Cups. I mean, what was that team? I just don't see where Canada's going to go on and lose. They'll drop points.
It was far from their best team, to be fair, Costa Rica.
Well,
they've got a lot of players injured.
Must-win game.
I'm tempted to take the under. I think I'm going to take the under as well. I think the bigger concern for them, if you can call it a concern at this point, because they're in a great position, is that they might draw too many games. They might go away from home and not get beaten, but not win. And I think we will need to win somewhere at some point, like Honduras or El Salvador, and that's going to be difficult. But I could see the under there.
All right, so remember, after the game against Mexico, right, these 2 games here at home, 4 of the remaining 6 will be on the road. So it does get a little bit squiggly there. Over under, Ollie, 20 points needed to qualify for Qatar 2022.
I'll take the under just. I think it's going to come down a bit below what we might have expected. I certainly don't see anyone below Panama getting near 20 points at this point, so it would really be up to Panama to do it. Obviously, they are on pace for it right now. You just think that Panama... I think you have to take them seriously, but on paper, do they have the quality to get to 20 points? I'm not sure they do, so I'll take the under there.
I'm going to go over. I've been consistent on this. I said it from day one, 21 points, average 2 points at home, 1 point away. You will get there. I'm going to stay on 21. I know what you're saying. Panama might not get to 20. I just look at those inferior opponents that they're playing at home. The problem we've got here is, as alluded to by Gareth there, a lot of those teams at the bottom half of this round now are poor. And so they could be even worse as they're eliminated. And so Panama might get an opportunity to really take advantage and beat up on those teams because they're going to get worse the more likely they are mathematically out of the process. So that might help them as they play the likes of Honduras at home, El Salvador at home, and Jamaica at home, who may no longer be involved in the process to qualify at that point as well.
I said over before this World Cup qualifying campaign, but my over-under for caring, go to the under there because the points are almost irrelevant at this point just in terms of an absolute total because there's been so many draws. Like after the first
points
match
are
day,
irrelevant.
No, when it comes to
that's going to be on checks and balances.
When it comes to like hitting a specific number here, a specific target, like get more than the rest. Like everything was thrown out of whack because of so many draws early in this competition. That's what I'm trying to get at. The points are not irrelevant.
All right.
Kind of the point.
Okay, now you're right. Maybe the minutes here are irrelevant because as long as he gets in, he'll have the record for most appearances on the men's side. But over under 45 minutes for Atiba Hutchinson against Mexico, Gareth.
I'm going to go with under. Because if I'm John Herdman, I don't break up the partnership of Eustáquio and Kay. They played Mexico both times and have done well against a very good Mexican midfield in both games that they played over the last 5 months. And I just have a feeling right now, familiarity breeds success. And I'm not sure how much John Herdman wanted to change things up. So I'll go under.
I'm taking the over for sure. I think he starts. I think he sat against Costa Rica for the purposes of starting this game. I don't think there's any question, and he'll go more than a half. So I think this game could suit Atiba Hutchinson. Like, watching the way the States played against Mexico, get the ball out to the wide areas, get runners coming in from deep into the box arriving. That's the kind of thing Atiba Hutchinson is capable of doing.
Yeah, take the over for me. The game, if they're going to win it, needs to be won in midfield against Mexico. You have to stop them playing through the middle. He's very good at that as well. Go out there, give as much as 60 to 65 minutes as you can. And by the way, how fitting will it be that he starts? Because if he starts, he gets the cap record.
What a game
and that's the way
together.
you should be doing it, starting in a game like this against Mexico.
All right, I'm going to stick with the same question, but this time it's going to be a different player. KJ, over under 45 minutes. for Daniil Henry.
Yeah, I think he's going to start as well. Again, back to Gareth's point, we're not sure about who can play back-to-back games, and Steven Vittoria, whether he can play on the thing. And Daniil Henry, I think, was marvelous against Mexico the last time we played them as well. So it seems like the kind of game that could be really perfect for him in terms of leading that, understanding it. When he played against Funes Mori in the Gold Cup, I thought he did a great job against him, going tight when he needed to and really leading that back line. So I think this has been his mission from day one, and I think he'll start.
Yeah, I'll say over. I think they were thinking hard about giving him the Mexico away game because of his performance at the Gold Cup. They decided that he would be better suited to matching up against Jamaica and some of the physicality they have up front, so they played Vittoria in that game instead. But I think they'll get him out there for this one and reward him for the way he played at the Gold Cup against Mexico.
Again, I'm going to go under. I just think that go with the player that got you there. Steven Vittoria did well in the last game against Mexico at the Azteca, and you can make the argument he has been maybe the biggest surprise on this Canadian men's national team so far. How steady, how stable he's been. This is what everyone's been complaining about, the center back position. Are they good enough? Well, they've conceded the joint fewest goals in qualifying, and Steven Vittoria arguably has been the best defensive player in the group. So I'm going to go with over. I don't mess about what's
Has Henry put a foot wrong though? We went and got a clean sheet in Jamaica.
That's fine, but Vittoria's played more. Vittoria played last.
I agree with everything you said. I just think Henry will play.
Great.
I would play Vittoria. I would agree with you.
All right, well, speaking of defense then, Ollie, let me ask you this. Over under 1.5 goals scored in this Canada-Mexico game.
I'll take the over on that one. I think Mexico are vulnerable at the minute, everywhere in defense, really. We'll see what the centre-back partnership is. It'll probably be a bit stronger with Araujo coming back than it was against the States. But I think the full-back positions, we've seen Canada cause real problems for Mexico. And you can't ignore the talent that Mexico has got at the top end of the pitch as well. So I will take the over there.
I'm going to go with under. Just because of the surface, the weather. The colder and the more difficult the conditions get, it's more about survival. And there's going to be less clear-cut chances. Those goal-scoring opportunities are going to come from mistakes rather than something in the natural build of the game. That's having played in difficult conditions, -10, -15 before. The game is just completely different. And the chances were few and far between on Friday night. I expect that to be the case as well tomorrow.
I'm going to go over, and I might go over quite a lot. I think they're going to get shot out of a cannon, these Mexicans, and Canada can score goals for fun as well. So I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout.
Maybe the ball will be slipping and sliding on that snow, too. Nightmare for the goalkeepers here. Over under, Gareth, 0.5 goals scored by Alphonso Davies versus Mexico.
Well, if I'm going to go the under, don't I have to go the under on
Yes?
this one
Yes,
as well?
you do.
So by virtue of my last answer, I'll go under. That's it. That's all I got.
There you go, Ollie.
I am taking the over. I'll make the prediction now. Buchanan gets in down the right. Low cross to the back post. Davies is tapping it in.
We actually
1-0
got a
Canada.
play-by-play. Okay.
That actually sounds almost like the Davies goal that scored against Mexico as Buchanan crossed the ball in the box and Davies came to the back post as well. So I'll take the over as well. Why not? Big moment for him in this wonderful city, and he can celebrate that. And he deserves individual moments like that. So why not? As I said, I think there's going to be goals.
Let's have fun with the weather, because after all, this was something John Herdman was talking about with these home games and the opposition not liking the cold, even though, listen, a lot of them do play in the cold. But here we go. Over under, KJ, that at least one Mexican player is going to be wearing short sleeves.
I think many of them will be. I think 4 or 5 of them will be. These guys are tough. These guys are tough guys. This the story about Mexico not wanting to come here and play in Edmonton in the snow. These guys, you want to see some of the surfaces these kids played on when they were younger in Mexico. This has not all been laid out for them since they were little kids. These guys are mentally tough. They're physically tough. They're ready to come out there, and I think they'll be ready for it. I think it'll be very different from Costa Rica. They didn't look ready for it in the game. I was in the hotel reception the morning of Costa Rica, and a massive box arrived full of hot snoods and gloves and everything. Right, they weren't ready for it at all. That's a true story, by the way. I think Mexico are prepared, and they'll be fine.
And it was balmy on Friday.
What are the rules here, though? Because Ochoa will be in short sleeves, but he'll also have Under Armour on underneath, right? So that
doesn't count because we need arms exposed.
Okay, I don't think there's going to be any arms exposed. And why would there be? I wouldn't.
Some people like the short sleeves with the gloves on, though. Some people like that look.
Yeah, and I'm going under based upon what I've seen from Canada over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I think Canada will do the same.
It's been like +1 and +2. I think I saw 2 players wearing shorts.
Yeah.
2! Like this, it was gorgeous weather. The kids have gone soft today.
Oh,
It
geez.
been like that back in my day.
Our kid is not soft because we have a special over-under here on Adam Jenkins. He's back there. He's right behind us, guys. He's going to run this field. What is this, about 110 meters, over-under 17 and a half seconds. What are you guys taking here?
I'm going to go over. Jenkins was on the wine last night.
Oh, no, here we go.
I'm hammering the under. This kid's quick.
Pump.
He's not quick with his takes, but he's quick in terms of his foot speed.
You're going under as well? Look at him
He's
go.
wearing boots here, so he's maybe not at top speed.
Guys, he's
Very
approaching.
impressive. Still confident.
Pump.
Former rugby scrum half there. You can see.
We're getting the count at 14.5. All right, it's anyone's guess what you guys have here is the starting 11, but this is what we've given you the floor to do. Put your manager hat on, and if you were John Herdman, who are you starting against Mexico? Oliver, I'm going to begin with you. Your starting 11, please.
Well, the difficult stuff is up top. Here we go. Before it's even up on the board. There it is. So the difficult one is leaving Kyle Larin out. Like, I really wanted to get Kyle Larin in the team. I'd be surprised if he doesn't play in both games. But for me, Jonathan Osorio just adds a lot in terms of, again, all the things I said earlier about the way he is able to connect the play and get your best players on the ball in good areas. So I'd like to see Buchanan and Davies, in the wide areas, exploiting that space behind the fullbacks, which we know is going to be there. Tough to leave Sam Adekubi out as well, but I think Alistair Johnston draws back in just to give you a bit more solidity down the left-hand side with Lozano and Gallardo. Obviously, that will be an attacking focal point for Mexico. And then you can't take Jonathan David out after getting the goal, in my opinion, against Costa Rica.
Ollie's going to play a 4-2-3-1, a system that they haven't played over the course of qualifying. Well done, Platt.
They don't ever play one system. The shape will change whether they got the ball, whether they haven't got the ball. That's a template. The right players are in there, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, he and I agree. I was going to say great minds, but we're really not great minds. We're just, I don't know, very average minds.
Average minds think alike.
But he and I think alike so often. I'm going to throw my 11 up. I'm sure it's very similar.
Let's see yours.
It's almost the same. I mean, this is almost the same, basically. I've got Vittorio in there because I think he's been, as Gareth said, one of the best centre-backs in this entire World Cup qualifying process. And as for the rest of the team, it's basically the way they played in the Azteca. Osorio started on the right-hand side. Buchanan played up front. They will overlap and switch. Osorio will go as a 10 at the different points. If you're going to go and play against Mexico and you want something against Mexico, you've got to go for it. You've got to attack them. And as I've said before, you've got to be willing to get punched in the face because you've got to punch them back. You've got to go and attack and exploit. And you've got to be willing to be 2 or 3 down, by the way, when you do it as well. You've got to press them and believe that you can go toe-to-toe with them. And I think that's the best lineup to do it. I don't think Vittorio will play, as I said, but if I was picking the 11, I would put him out there. That's my team.
All right, Gareth.
Now the big one.
These guys, these are my boys, but they have no clue what they're talking about.
Let's
Who's been
see
the
yours.
best player for Canada this calendar year? It's Kyle Larin. How are you keeping him out of the team? I'm going to have to actually play a formation that this team has been playing. How about that 3-4-3?
Not against. We haven't been playing it against Mexico.
They're going to play.
They've been playing it back four against Mexico.
No, they've been playing with the wing backs. They've switched and made sure that those.
Is that Daniil Henry at
areas.
centre back wheels?
That is Daniil Henry in there. I slept on it and I decided that Vittoria might be better. But this is what I thought last night would work out really well with Daniil Henry in the back. But Kyle Larin's a must start for me. He was great when he came on the field. He is him and Jonathan David are both phenomenal finishers. I think that Jonathan David's finish against Costa Rica has been underrated because of the goalkeeping mistake leading to it.
Brilliant goal.
But Larin has the instincts. And the more attention that a player like Davies commands of the opponent, the more room for Larin to operate. I think he is a must start in this game. He would have started against Costa Rica if he didn't have that stomach illness. He's over it now. And this is the way that you get your best players on the field. The versatility of Lorea, the versatility of Buchanan, I think that this is the best way to play.
It's not actually that much different. Like, we can quibble about the formation, but you've basically gone Larin instead of Osorio, right? That's the only major change.
Yeah.
And obviously a Tiber as well.
That's a significant change to the team. It absolutely
is. It is probably the big question mark.
Playing Alistair Johnston back in a back three, where I think he's much more effective in playing that role as well. I think there's some significant changes.
Yeah, I mean, again, tactical fluidity will come into it. I think that they went to a back four in the Gold Cup at half time. In the dressing room, John Herdman asked the players, and the players said, we want to go for it, and let's go for a 4. They played a 4 at the Azteca, and that's how they pressed them. And the 3 occasionally, but very rarely. That's why I think it'll be a 4. And I agree with you on Larin. I thought he was magnificent when he came on the other night, but I don't think they can play Larin and David from the start.
That's going for it, KJ. No, that's going for it. I honestly think that John's going to be brave.
And I don't like Buchanan in a fullback position.
You don't want him defending wing back.
But that's why you defend in a 4-4-2. You spin it around. Buchanan steps up to midfield. Lorea steps back.
So we had it.
So we had the back four.
No, that's how you. But I'm showing how this team's going to go out there and attack, and I'm including the best attacking player on this Canadian men's national team here in 2021, and you guys decided to keep him out.
So
remember, Ollie, we
so
don't
what
know
we
what
did.
we're talking about.
Okay.
The
Love you guys, though.
beautiful thing
Love
is
you
that
too, Wheels.
even when you ask John Herdman about this, he is so confident, as he should be, because his players can do it, about switching formations multiple times in a game, making the substitutions, and knowing the players who can go in and do that. So I feel like all your starting 11s work.
It's a great segment.